There are currently more than 250,000 Amish in the United States. In 20 years, from 1991 to 2010, they doubled their numbers. They will do it again, but this time it will only take them 15 years. This is largely due to the fact that they have big families. The average today is about 7 children per Amish family. It used to be 9, but it's gone down just a little bit. So what we're looking at here is a map of church districts in the United States. So in Ohio, for instance, it shows that in 2010 there were 434 church districts. We have the largest Amish population in the world, actually in Ohio. And a church district consists, it's an institutional organization of Amish culture whereby about 25 families on average who live in a relatively small geographical area belong to a single church district. They attend church together every other Sunday. And the shape and size of the district is determined largely by numbers of families and how far it's reasonable to drive a buggy to church on a Sunday morning. Actually, these numbers are a little bit behind. In a year, we've added church districts in Ohio, so that, for instance, now that number should be 452. How can it be that, that the Amish can do so well when they defy, right, our obvious wisdom that to survive in today's culture, you've got to be plugged in? Well, it's a great question, and a lot of people want to find the answer. About 19 million people visit Amish country every year in the United States. Most of them go to Lancaster, PA. That's largely due to the fact that Lancaster is located, you know, near New York City and other large population centers. But we get 4 million in Elkhart and LaGrange, Indiana. That's where Shipshewana is, if you've ever been there. And another 4 million in Holmes and Wayne counties. So it's a lot of tourism, people trying to figure out the Amish. So what do they find when they get there? Well, they find big hotels, like this one in Walnut Creek that is very well appointed and comfy. This one in Shipshewana, very similar, very big, very comfy. They find beautiful and ornate gift shops like this one in Walnut Creek. This is a chocolate shop, and on the inside you'll see they have these beautiful faux tin ceilings, right? And, you know, lovely lighting, halogen lamps, you know, blah, blah, blah. And of course, chocolates. I do highly recommend these chocolates, by the way. At Koblenz in Walnut Creek, they're fantastic. Made on site, they're really good. But anyway, so gift shops, large restaurants. This one in Shipshewana, Indiana. This used to be a little spot with maybe 12 tables in it. Now it's this, you know, rambling, expansive thing with huge restaurant. This is the interior of the restaurant. And there's even a big theater where gospel groups come and sing, and it seats like thousands of people. So restaurants, another big one. This one is in Berlin, Ohio. Also amusement parks. We have Dutch Wonderland in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where you can ride a roller coaster and a monorail, as well as, yes, get your picture taken like an Amish family. Excellent. There are outlet malls like this one. This is also in Lancaster. On Highway 30, and if you're not sure what the connection is to the Amish, well, that would be the 3 silos. But anyway. And my personal favorite, the Amish-themed water park. This is in Shipshewana, and you know it's Amish because, of course, we have a barn, sort of, with a hex sign, and even more, a fiberglass Amish horse who seems to have a special thing for my husband. Anyway. So what does Amish country tourism, this is the question, right, really have to do with the Amish? That's an Amish cow, and I think he has the same question. So put another way, what do visitors really get when they go to Amish country? And what, if anything, does it have to do with the Amish? A sociologist and researcher in the area of Amish studies has argued that it actually has nothing to do with the Amish, that he did a bunch of surveys of visitors to, was it Navani or Shipshewana? I think it was Shipshewana. Interviewed about 700 of them and found that the reason they go to Amish country is to shop. And it really doesn't have anything, you know, much to do with the Amish. Well, I was curious about, you know, whether that's really the case. So this is the book that I wrote on Amish tourism, and I focused there. I talk about Pennsylvania and Indiana Amish country tourism, but I focused the most on Ohio Amish country. Well, one thing that we do know in terms of what it is that tourists are getting when they go to Amish country, they're getting a lot of stuff. There's no question about that. Time in Walnut Creek. Walnut Creek constructs, the folks who have developed Walnut Creek have constructed, and actually in Walnut Creek they did it self-consciously, a theme around another time. Right? And this might, if we look at some of the buildings in Walnut Creek, a hotel, a gift shop, this is the interior of the gift shop, right? The kind of merchandise that they're selling, we see a theme, right? Namely, this looks to us like what we think Victorian America must have looked like, right? So we are reminded of a time in which we think, right, we didn't experience it, but we think that at that time people had more time, right? So Walnut Creek offers us an environment in which we are invited to remember, right, a time when people had more time. So what does Amish country tourism offer its visitors? My argument is that it offers visitors a nostalgia, but it's not the sort of nostalgia that we typically think of. That is nostalgia where you feel good about the past, like, oh, I remember when I was in high school, I used to have a, Chevrolet, whatever. This is a nostalgia that pulls on a cultural memory, right, from the past, may or may not be true, and then projects it into an alternate future, in which we can experience, rather than a time famine, a time feast, when we can take that experience home, regain control of time, make things slow down. Right? This is what Walnut Creek offers. And it's not an unfamiliar idea, right? The idea that if you change your style, that you can change your life, right? If you change the kind of food you eat, or the kind of chair you sit in, or the kind of clothes you wear, right? Car you drive, perfume, undies, whatever, right? That you can radically transform your life. This is the ubiquitous claim of consumer culture. So what is it about Amish country that seems to make this claim so compelling? Why is it different, right? Is it just like the mall when you go to Amish country? And my argument is, whoa, I have another question. What is it about Amish country that, inclines us to think that, right, if we buy that cookbook, that jar of apple butter, hickory rock, or whatever, we might actually be able to slow down our lives? I think it's the Amish. Amish country is full of Amish. Now, they don't show up at the amusement park that often. They do show up at Der Dutchman. You see them, right? They pass through town. You see them in the restaurants. Of course, they're working in the gift shops, that sort of thing. So people encounter the Amish. And the Amish life seems very visibly to show that if you do make certain style choices, right? If you wear that Amish dress or covering, you drive a buggy instead of a Camaro, that it really makes a difference, these kinds of choices that we make. And so I think that on the one hand, right, that Amish country tourism invites, that Amish country tourism pulls on the Amish as a sign of authenticity, right, that this kind of proposition actually can work out if you, right? See the Amish do it, right? They make different stylistic choices in their lives, and lo and behold, right, they live a very different kind of life than we do. So on the one hand, I think one of the reasons that Amish country tourism is so compelling is that the Amish seem to authenticate the consumer culture argument that Amish country tourism is making. But I also think that something else is going on, that's not all that's going on. The Amish are so visibly strange, and that's part of how they help to make the argument that you buy a cookbook and it can change your life. They're so visibly different, though. I think they raise certain questions for tourists as well, or that they at least can. So if you get stuck right behind an Amish buggy, especially if it's going up a hill and you're going about 2 miles an hour, you get a very concrete sense of what it means, right, to really change your life, right? So, right, if I trade in my Camaro for a horse and buggy, we're talking 2 miles an hour, right? It's going to take me forever to get home. And I think that in that way, the Amish raise the question for us, that, are we really willing to make the kinds of changes that are required, willing to make the kinds of choices the Amish have made to have that very different life. And I think that's a really important question, and I think it's not, just about pie. That's it.